Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Cailee and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we talk to Phil Collin about his bourbon job, how his bourbon job is going. My name is Cailee Baker. Please join me and welcome Steve Cailee along with our special guest, Phil Collin and Tony Friend.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, everyone.
Hello. So, we got a series of 4 shows here. Becca was slated to be our announcer, as always, but then I forgot she's at an event actually with my wife. So, So I knew she wouldn't be available. So then we just had to move on. And so Cailee, pinch hitting. So good job. Good job.
Bravo.
Yeah, so we've got a fun show today. It's going to be a series of shows, 4 shows about the bourbon jobs of the 4 people on here. Each person here will have an individual show where we tell you about our job. Phil's going to be up first, and he also has the small talk to kick this one off. What do you got, Phil?
It's all Phil. It's good stuff. So you guys might have seen this, and this had my jaw on the ground for the better part of last week. But at Sotheby's auction, some Scotch whiskey, Macallan that had been aged 81 years in this thing called the Reach. It was these 3 giant, grotesque, absurd hands that were holding it. And they only made 288. It was something like the oldest whiskey known to by time it spent in the cask, blah, 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 blah. And they got far more than they were expecting for it. It went at auction, this 81-year-old Macallan, for $336,000. So my question to you, Chuckleheads, is which one of you was the one who bought it for $336,000? I've narrowed it down to one of you.
Us three, yeah.
I mean, can you imagine paying that much for a bottle of anything?
No.
That's like, what, 10 to 15 times what my college tuition cost in total.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's buying new house money is what we're talking here.
Oh, yeah.
Choose between a house or 750 milliliters of scotch. With fancy hands holding it.
If I had like Mega Millions lottery money, I still wouldn't buy something like that.
No.
I mean, I'd probably do crazy, stupid stuff. Like I'd buy 100 bottles of Leopold 3-chamber rye or something like that. and that would be kind of cool. But, something like that, just that much on a single bottle, I don't think so. That's not my thing, man.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is.
I heard someone talking about selling a barrel of oil the other day for like $86,000, and that was a lot to me. And that's a barrel of oil.
Oil?
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know what that's all about.
I'm all out of barrels of oil. And the thing about the Scotch is I don't think we have a bourbon equivalent. I don't think if you throw in the most precious bottle and all things for charity, we don't have that with American whiskey. You don't get anywhere close to those amounts.
No, I don't. Yeah, that's again very different product that used cooperage, that different weather, different climate. You can have something that's that old, and bourbon just doesn't equate to that. So I don't.
The rarity, the scarcity, and then I guess I've been talking to my friends about this, and I've gotten 8 different opinions from 6 different people. So I want to hear from you guys. 288 of these bottles. Whoever this guy or girl is walked away with one of them. Do you think they're going to drink it? Do you think this bottle will ever see the light of day in a glass?
No.
Yeah, Tony's a hard no.
Why not?
All the scotch that sells
going up?
Yeah, all the scotch that sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's just collector's items. Nobody opens those.
That's such a shame.
Well, yeah. Well,
That's personal choice in the Scotch world, I guess.
I just, I'm a big fan of drinking your bourbon. And I hate to see it turn into fine art where you put it on a shelf and you look at it and you point to it and you talk about how pretty it is and no one ever actually tastes it. That's just me. I'm not the one spending $250,000+ on a bottle of whiskey. So I guess I don't really have much standard about it.
As Phil talks whiskey grows, who knows? That could be you. You could fall into this trap. Yeah.
Sure. I would hope people wouldn't do business with a guy who spends $336,000 a bottle. Just on principle alone, no matter how successful I get.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens.
I'll do this instead. I'll buy 22,000 bottles before it was a small batch. And then that'll be the equivalent, and everyone will be far more satisfied.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, gang. Well, guess what? It's time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's start with Cailee. Cailee, what do you got?
So I was just picking a random one that I had actually sitting on my desk for a while. I've got to do a tasting with this, and we're gonna try and blend some Snake Eater with it and make it a little veteran theme style special release. But it's 10th Mountain. It's just their whiskey and spirit, Rocky Mountain bourbon whiskey. So aged 1 year, and there we go. I couldn't find the perforation, but I got it.
You got it now. All right, here we go.
Oh, machi.
It sounded real cute on my end. I don't know how it sounded on y'all's end.
It sounded great, yeah. I'll go next. Probably not even competing here. A bottle of Wild Turkey 101 rye, mostly empty. We'll see what happens. Squeak, squeak. Cailee still got the lead. Tony, you're next.
I've got the ultra rare Hidden Barn.
Oh.
Batch 3. This is from the Bourbon Fest.
Okay.
Chef's kiss.
Oh, nothing happened.
Not bad.
Nada.
Yeah. All right. Phil, you're last but not least. Kaylee's got the lead. What do you got?
From the Buffalo Trace Distillery, I have a bottle of Everyday Buffalo Trace, which, by the by, is my wife's favorite everyday sipping bourbon. So, a good one for a night of podcasting. Here we go. Oh, so sad.
No, nothing there. Nothing. Oh. Cheers, gang.
All right.
Cheers.
All right. We'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking to Phil about his job. We'll do that in just a few. Yeah, it's exciting. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We will also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky. Well, go ahead, Danny. Is there something you need to say?
Just sitting there saying that plain and simple, if you're sending me to a text, you need to tell me you need to send it to me on a text. So
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking to Phil Collin about his bourbon job and how's it going.
Yes, we are. So Phil has had a couple bourbon jobs. So we initially met him. He was a tour guide for a major bus tour type of company. And then from there, he put together some of the events at the Bourbon Burn. So the bicycle ride through bourbon country, which is very cool. And still affiliated with that, though it's not a full-time gig anymore. So now he's broken off and he's doing his own thing. It's called Phil Talks Whiskey, and he does tastings. And basically he's a gun for hire, a guy who's knowledgeable and passionate about the world of bourbon and distilled spirits. So Phil, that brings us up to date on your career.
What a tremendous introduction. Thank you, Steve.
Oh, yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah, concise and accurate.
Yeah. So how's it going, man? How's the gig going?
It's going well. Thank you guys for the bourbon. It was a great night. We'll talk later.
Ooh.
No, just kidding. It's going tremendous. I've been doing this full time for about 9 months now, and sometimes you have those epiphany moments where you're just where you want to be and probably where you should have been a few years ago. And, it's good to know about yourself. And aside from being on the couch with my family, hanging out, there is no place I feel more comfortable or satisfied on earth than in front of a crowd talking whiskey. And so that's kind of the cornerstone of the business. And it's going tremendously well. And I can't think of a better fit kind of for who I am and my skill set and my passions other than this. And until like that opening comes along and the price is right and they need a game show host for that, this is it's been a solid ride. It's been fun. We'll talk more nuance because it's certainly not all jelly beans and chocolate rivers and toadstool candies, but it's been a fun ride so far. It's going well.
It's going well. All right. Cailee, what would you like to know about Phil's new gig and what he's doing with his life?
I would like to know if I'm in the area, what do I do to book a tour with you or however you are getting in front of crowds and talking whiskey. How do I participate?
It's very complicated. You got to go to an undisclosed location. And are you familiar with semaphore? That's the when you wave the flags around to form different. No, just kidding. Everything I do is really kind of designed to fill a niche of things that aren't out there. Everything I do is custom, unique. It's styled for the audience, and it's designed to create an amazing bourbon experience. Host of bourbon adventures is what my business card says, and I think that's a good description. So. The short answer is connect on me any way you can, from social media to email to the website to smoke signals. But the bottom line is I'm most interested in creating these really fun, really niche, really highly dedicated, customized experiences to what people want to get out of it. I'm not a brand ambassador for distillery. Those people are phenomenal. And those people do a really good job speaking to the brand. I always joke that I get to be like Switzerland, friend to all, loyal to none. And that helps me kind of pull on my knowledge of bourbon and the different great hidden gems I know as far as spots, great bottles I know as far as tastings, great stories I know as far as history, and put together everything from a tasting, a presentation, a unique adventure, all that good stuff, everything under the sun. So I know it sounds almost like a cop-out catch-all blanket, but that's what I do. I'm not designed to be one thing. No one is. I'm trying to just look at what Steve does with the ABV Network. It's a lot of things, and it's all centered around my love of talking whiskey.
I love it. Yeah.
Awesome. Tony, how about you, man?
Yes, I got to see, I think you were in Chicago recently.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Do you get to travel a lot for your job, or do you do mostly local events? Or
I do. It's funny because I set out to do a variety of things, and then I was going to grow the business in the direction there seems to be the most interest in. And it's been really fascinating since February what people are interested in. And so I anticipated I'd be doing a fair amount of private tastings around the Louisville area in Kentucky. Not the case. I have been hopping on a plane to do private tastings in everywhere from Cleveland to Tampa and beyond on a somewhat regular basis, because these are the people who get so excited they're going to bring, an executive bourbon steward, this guy from Kentucky who really knows his bourbon. Around Louisville, I'm a dime a dozen. I live on a street with 2 other bourbon tour hosts and a guy that works at a distillery. But outside of these areas, you're like, oh, he's gonna come, he's gonna have some delicious bourbon, and we're gonna learn all about Kentucky bourbon. And so, if anything, that speaks less to me and the bourbon boom and how people who are just getting into bourbon or think they know a little and want to know more, want to get the myths shattered, or want to dig deeper into brands, are eager to have this happen in their house. So doing a fair amount of traveling for that too. A lot of it's still the planning. The hardest thing about this, in this role where it's Phil Talks Whiskey, and unless I find other people named Phil to hire, I'm a one-man show right now. That's the downside of my company, is that it all falls on your shoulders. And everyone told me that was going to be the case, but I didn't realize until it was a few weeks in. And my wife got COVID, and she was fine, but she was down and out of action. And I was tackling the kiddos, and I was doing everything, and I had to put work on pause for a little bit. Quickly dawned on me, when you're the only man doing it, if you're not doing the work, it doesn't get done. And so as much as I'd like my gig to be just show up places, it's a whole lot of follow-ups, a whole lot of tracking down, a whole lot of leads, a whole lot of conversations about events that sometimes don't come together for whatever reason. And that's been the hardest part of this, is the amount of work I put into it. You got to work hard to make it pay off, to make the dream hard. And I mean, it's not a surprise, but that's kind of like the reality. I love the part where I stand up and host a tasting. I don't love the part where I'm creating invoices and arguing with the marketing company because they misspelled my name on the logo, but that's all part of it. And it's been a fun ride.
Yeah. So your
Phil,
favorite
by the way, is PHIL if you're running a marketing company and thinking about doing business with me.
Well, how would
One
this
L.
with this?
One L in Phil.
2 L's people put, huh?
Do it, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So, what are your favorite parts of the job besides just talking to people? What else do you like about it? And what's really the worst part of what you're doing?
The favorite part is when I have a chance to get in front of a group, whether it's virtual or in person, whether it's a tasting or presentation, and create these aha moments where people really see the connection between how one element of whiskey and how it's connected to today's bourbon boom, one element of, an active government, whether it's prohibition or bottled and bond, and how that directly impacts what you see on the bourbon shelf. We're always bad at humans about taking the bigger pictures and making connections. So when I'm able to tell these stories and kind of bring it all together, the history and the present, and seeing people go, that's a real pleasure. The worst part is that I'm relying on so many other people to make things work that it's hard when people don't communicate, or when something falls through, when something doesn't happen. Because other jobs I worked at, when it doesn't happen, I still get paid at the end of the week. These jobs, if an event or a book gig falls through, then all of a sudden there's a little less money in the pocket, and I got money in the pocket. So that's been the hardest thing, is getting used to the fact that even if it can be written in stone, there's a chance that it may fall through.
Yeah.
But I mean, every day so excited because I've got things in the hopper that are unique and fun. Right now, I'm building a tasting event that's going to be at a dog-friendly pub park. It's a dog bar. It's a dog park. And that's a genius. I can't believe it didn't occur to me to have a pet-friendly bourbon tasting. That's a great idea at a venue that supports it. I'm working with a university to create a bourbon adult education, be part of that interaction, and all these other things, some I can't even really talk about. So it's so fun to have these irons in the fire and see how I can be creative and pull it all together.
Yeah.
You should taste bird dog whiskey at one of your these dog friendly tastings, any whiskey with a dog on it.
Sure.
Yeah. What percentage of these, Phil, are you coming up with yourself, and then it's kind of an idea for an event that maybe you put together, versus I have a business, I'm like, hey, I want to get my sales team together, and I think it'd be a great bonding thing to have someone come in and talk about whiskey and lead us on the tasting. So are you actively putting together your own sort of events and things like that too, or is it all customers calling you?
Yeah, it's been, as I'm sure everyone in my shoes right now, a lot of my business is coming from friends and friends of friends and contacts and people who are connecting me with. And when they reach out, sometimes it's like, hey, I want to do this, but I don't know much about bourbon. I don't know what you do. And that's what I whip out the ideas from the holsters of the side pistols and say, these are some great ideas for tastings or presentations I can do with you and work to see if it's in these. What I enjoy more are the ones that are more collaborative. People come with 90% knowledge of bourbon and what they want to do, and they're relying on me to create an event that hits the bells and whistles to identify any pitfalls and get them to that across the finish line. That's a lot of fun. So there's three parts to it. There's the people who are like, hey, you seem great. What do we do? And I said, I have some tremendous ideas for your Michigan Library Wednesday night, adult education Zoom presentation you want me to host. I'm like, that's great. We didn't know anything. And then you have people like, hey, I've done the Bourbon Trail 7 times. I got 6 guys coming in. I want to wow impress them. This is where I've been. This is where I don't want to go. What can you show me? I'm like, hot damn, that's a great question. Let's put something together for you. But the third part I really enjoy is that my favorite part, and everyone says this, from Freddie Johnson to Steve, everyone says this, my favorite part of bourbon is the people. And the one thing that's kept me going into different areas of bourbon professional gigs is the chance to work with the different people of all roles in the bourbon world. And it's so great to be able to have these situations and call them up and pick their brains and see how we can work together and see if there's an opportunity and see what they would do. I love that part. I love just giving people a casual email or call and say, hey, this group wants to do this. What do you think about that? Is that something we can make work at your distillery? Is that something we could happen upstairs at your bar? Have you ever had anything like this? So I love being able to just chit chat with other people in the whiskey biz about all things events and planning.
Okay.
Oh, this is fun. I love talking about Phil Talks Whiskey. It's been a really great ride. And just last week, my leather coasters came in with my logo, and the Glencairn showed up at the office like on Thursday. It's a blast.
Things are happening. That's good. Any other questions?
You got a Glencairn glass. You got to be legit, right? There's no way they just give those to some schmo off the street.
Right. Yeah, you're
good.
You're the real deal. You're the real deal.
Got to be now.
Yeah. Any other questions for Phil?
Yeah. So Phil, if I legally changed my name to Phil and was looking for a job,
you might have a gig.
What would you hire me to do?
Tony, I'd hire you to do some tastings and share your deep bourbon knowledge and experience with all brands. You'd be wonderful for small groups. And like, hey, because more often than not, sometimes these things happen on really short. Oh, Steve, I'd like to revisit your question about the worst part about my gig. And then we'll talk about how Tony's going to join the Phil and Tony Talks Whiskey team. So much has changed on the Bourbon Trail with bourbon distilleries in the post-COVID world. And I thought I'd be leading more tours, but the distilleries have become harder to get into, less tours in a day, less spaces on the tour. And it wasn't that long ago where someone could say, I want to take 18 guys out in 9 days. What can we do? I can put something together. If someone comes to me with less than 3 weeks and they want to hit a number of quality distilleries, I can't build a day like that anymore. So I want to make sure people have a quality experience. So the hardest thing is short notice tour groups. I just have to say, I'm sorry, I don't think there's something I can put together that you're going to enjoy your day. I need at least 5 or 6 weeks notice. And that's changed so much. A little sidebar, but did you hear what happened recently at Buffalo Trace?
No.
This was in an article with the always great Dan Schofield from Distillery Trail. There was buried in an article about how they're still trying to fight counterfeiting and label printing by these people. And recently at Buffalo Trace, and their situation is a prime example of how things have changed for tour operators bringing groups out. The first Tuesday of every month, all their tours become available. 100% complimentary, always have been. I'm told they always will be. But you got to get in there, got online at 9 a.m. and make a free reservation for a tour you want. First Tuesday of the preceding month. Recently, they didn't say when, somebody booked 500 tours. They quickly realized, even though it was different email addresses, it was one person, and that person had plans to sell them as a third-party vendor.
Oh, geez.
Oh, my gosh.
Terrible. That's terrible.
I don't know the
horrible.
details. It was just in Dan's article, but they nipped that in the bud. But that kind of behavior is making it far difficult for smaller tour operators to take groups out.
Yeah.
So Tony, what I would have you do is sit down and say, these are 3 of my favorite bottles. I'm going to walk you through each one, tell you why I love it, and then we're going to have a 4th, and that would be a hell of a good time. That's what you're going to do for Phil Talks Whiskey. So yeah.
Phil Friend would be his name at that point.
Phil Friend, sure.
Yeah. It's like you joined the band the Ramones. Everyone had to have the last name Ramon once you became part of the band. Everyone that works for you would be named Phil. So
yeah. At first, I thought a lot about Phil Talks Whiskey. Originally, my tour group was the business plan changed a little bit, but originally the whole operation, it was going to be called 3065 tours or 3065 adventures. And because that is what the hazmat sticker is for trucks carrying whiskey through the state of Kentucky, through anywhere. So hauling whiskey adventures, that's what it's going to be with. My lovely wife pointed out that that's so esoteric and so deep in the woods in the know. You're not exactly pointing out bourbon knowledge if you have to explain to every person you meet why your company is called that. So we boiled it down as who am I? What do I like to do? What am I good at? And Phil Talks Whiskey was born. And then somebody said, hey, how are you going to grow a business if it's just named after you? And I said, there's a huge Scottish tour company called Robbie's Tours, and they are everywhere in the Highlands and they go around. And I guarantee you, not every bus driver is named Robbie. So I think it'll be okay.
You think you're going to? Okay. All right. We'll see.
I'm excited. I'm excited to
Heck yeah. So, Phil, where can people book you for a tour? Where can they have a conversation about what you offer? All those type of things.
Yeah, the best way is to connect with me through email, Phil Talks Whiskey. That's Key. Although I think I reserved the domain names of every spelling, so just show me. You can also visit my website or connect with me on social media. I'm on the Facebook at Phil Talks Whiskey. I'm on the Instagram at Derby City Phil. I'm on the Twitter at Derby City Phil. I am not on the Tiki-Taki. You will not see me do an interpretive dance to the latest Lizzo song in order for you to book a stellar whiskey adventure with me. The sky's the limit on what we can do. And I've got some fun stuff. And I've got an idea binder that's 3 pages of handwritten notes of great venues and opportunities that people want to work with. So it's going to be a really fun ride over the next few years.
Okay. Very cool. All right, Cailee,
Steve,
how about you?
I'll tell you about each and every public event. And that way we can get them out there in the ABV network and people can get tickets and join us. And we'll do something with the ABV network, do something with Tony. We'll do something with Leather, but it's going to be great. It's going
to be great. All right. Cailee, how about you?
You can find me on Instagram at Cailee Baker or at the Bourbon Bakers, or you can come see me at either of our 2 locations at Leatherwood Distillery.
All right. Phil, anything you want to share on a personal basis? Someone just likes you and wants to follow along the journey. Where do they need to go?
You talking to me again?
Yeah.
Information. Yeah, no, it's sorry. I didn't know that I get to double my stuff. So Derby City Phil, I share the funny tweets on the Twitter machine at Derby City Phil, and I post the beautiful images on Instagram at Derby City Phil. 1 L in Phil for the marketing agency who decided I had 2 L's in my name.
Tony, how about you, man?
You can find me on Instagram, Glass of Whiskey 86.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. And please, come by and see me. I'm at the ABV Barrel Shop in St. Louis, Missouri. Love to have you come by and see what we have going on there. And if you don't have the opportunity to do that, at least sign up for our email database at abvbarrelshop.com. Cailee, anything else to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, Steve, I just want to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review. That includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV
Great job today, gang. For our audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
See you, everyone.
Adios.
Thank you, Steve.
Bye.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Another friend of ours is the Goldstein family at Goldstone Mill. The Goldsteins offer a variety of heritage and heirloom grains to make the finest whiskeys in the world. Plus, they are more than just a grain company. They are truly consultants to make sure the grains they are providing to you or your business meet your highest expectations. Additionally, they work with mills around the country, ensuring shipping is as low as possible for their customers. If you're a distillery, brewery, or even doing this at home, Goldstone can assist you. Check them out at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or check in via email at hello@goldstonemill.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with the national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.